Hello, and it's me, author Michael Campling, with another post for my VIP Readers Club. And this is going to be for everybody, so it'll probably be on YouTube and so on other places as well. And it's from the In No Particular Order section of the VIP Reader Club, which you need to look for author Michael Campling on Substack, or just probably Google it and find it quite easily if you want to see what else there is. And this is from a piece I posted on Substack just the other day. Going to do my best at reading it through for you. And I hope you enjoy listening or watching. Sorry about the mess in the background. There's even added to the clutter is now a stepladder because I put a smoke detector on the ceiling the other day. There already was one, but it did that thing where it was an old one and the battery ran out, and it started making beeps when I was trying to write my latest work in progress. So I had to get a ladder, and I haven't put the ladder away yet, but I've put a more modern one that lasts for years. They don't have batteries anymore. Well, they have built-in batteries now, don't they? Well, ours do anyway. So this is called We Might Be Friendly, Seaside Reflections on a Sunny Day. The sun shone in an almost cloudless blue sky. The Dawlish Food Festival was in full swing, the vendors doing good trade on their stalls, slaving over their stoves and ovens. I spotted one team of cooks preparing pizzas in a kind of mobile kitchen. Poor planning, I thought, to set up a business that mainly operates in the warmer months and involves shutting yourself and your hapless co-workers into a metal box that also contains a wood-fired oven. But the ruddy-cheeked pizzerinos and pizzerinas, words I've just invented and intend to bring into general circulation, were working hard and seemed in good spirits. Maybe they were making good dough. Editor's note, terrible joke. We joined a queue beside a stall selling African-inspired dishes, choosing it mainly because of the spicy scents emanating from within. After a moment of confusion, we asked the young woman in front of us if she was in the queue. She assured us she was, but more confusion ensued as people either moved forward or didn't. So we asked the middle-aged man in front of the young woman if he was in the queue, and received no response. We asked again, and the middle-aged man seemed surprised at being addressed. Was he in the queue? No, he said, as if mildly offended, and he moved away. We shared a laugh with the young woman, and she apologised for having led us astray. But this is what we do in our country, I told her. We see someone standing around and we form a queue. She agreed, adding, it's our culture. A nice way of expressing it, I thought. Later, we watched a band playing rock and roll classics, and once again, I was struck by the timid reaction of the audience. At one time, people went wild for this music. It was a sunny day. We were by the sea. The music was free. But I was hard pressed to see so much as a foot tapping along. Ah, well. People in England rarely talk to each other while waiting for buses or, indeed, for anything else. The usual routine is to pretend the other people do not exist. But when we break out of that habit, it's often a pleasant experience. Once in Exeter, waiting for a park and ride bus that had apparently gone missing or been swallowed by an alien spacecraft, a mother in the queue told us she'd brought her little boy along especially because it was to be his first trip on a bus. The poor kid was looking forward to it, but as far as I know, that bus never did turn up. It was a bitterly cold day and my feet were getting numb, so we went back to the car and drove into the city, which was easier, quicker, and cheaper. I believe that's what they call a reverse incentive. Adding to the congestion and traffic fumes was actually the most sensible option. Madness. But still, I remember our conversation with that family, and I hope the youngster eventually got the bus ride he was hoping for. We may not have achieved our initial goal, but I'm glad to have been there that day to share the moment. It's a shame we're not a more outgoing people, but our reticence isn't an invariable rule. I have friends and relatives who are adept at striking up conversations with everyone they meet. How they do it, I'll never know. I like to talk to people serving me in shops and cafes and so on, mainly because I want to acknowledge the fact that we're all human beings. But we aren't But beyond all the usual politeness, the best I can manage is something along the lines of, "Have you been busy?" or "You look busy." Of course, I might comment on the weather, and when I receive food, I say something like, "This looks delicious, stroke perfect, stroke wonderful." But it's not exactly groundbreaking stuff, and David Sedaris has nothing to worry about when it comes to the icebreaker stakes. In one of his recent recording, sorry, in one of his recent readings on BBC Radio 4, Mr. Sedaris flaunts a favourite opening line: "How long have you known your dentist?" I could never say that to a stranger, but I do my best. That counts for something, and at least I'm not rude. I was at a motorway service station recently, waiting to order an overpriced coffee. In front of me in the queue were two men. I try not to pass lazy, snap judgments on people, but if you'd asked me to sum up the two chaps, I would have said they looked a little rough around the edges. But when it was their turn to be served, the men were unfailingly polite. Every request ended in please, and they said thank you in all the usual. I'm making stuff up. Every request ended in please, and they said thank you in all the appropriate places, with a few extra thrown in for good measure. I wanted to tell the men how genuinely impressed I was with their manners. It was oh dear, what's wrong with me today? I wanted to tell the men how genuinely impressed I was with their manners. It was a delight to listen to them. But of course, we were in the same queue, so we couldn't possibly converse. Where does all this social awkwardness come from? Okay, we live on an island, but it's not like we're crowded cheek by jowl, whatever the manically xenophobic populist press and politicians may tell you. I can walk in the UK for hours and see no one. It's possible that by common consent, people see me coming and hide until the danger has passed, but I don't think so. As the young woman at Dawlish said to me, it's our culture. And that gives me hope because cultures change. I sometimes remember with an edge of disbelief the people I used to see smoking: office workers, drivers, passengers in trains and planes, even doctors and nurses, all puffing merrily despite being racked by occasional bouts of uncontrollable coughing. In a trip to the cinema, the beams from the projector made flickering light shows in the smoke filled air over our heads. There were sudden flares of light amongst the audience as smokers struck matches, and on the back of the seats were curved metal ashtrays. I'm glad to see the back of those days. Change isn't always for the best, but oh dear. I'm glad to see the back of those days. Change isn't always for the best, but it often is. We can all do something to make the world a better place, and I like to think that one day we can step forward to a friendlier future, even if there's a queue. Oh, well, I hope you enjoyed listening to that. Sorry about my missteps. I just record this in one go as if I were reading it live. I'm doing it straight into the Substack app, actually, which is a very convenient way of doing it. Um, so yeah, I hope that was kind of some entertainment for you for a few minutes. I sort of write these little pieces when I have odd moments, often like maybe a Sunday. I'm sitting having a cup of coffee, and I might get a tablet out, and it's got a little keyboard attached to it, and I might sort of tap away on that. So it makes a change from my usual sitting at the desk. I've got a sort of more serious setup here with a big keyboard, a couple of monitors and a desk and a proper chair and everything. And that's kind of where I do my main work. But my journal type pieces for the in no particular order section are different. They're not part of a novel. They're not related to the books particularly. Although you might be able to see from my sort of writing voice where there might be similarities, I can imagine there is. Um, it's a bit different. There might be something I can talk about in a behind the scenes content, actually, behind the scenes video for my paying subscribers. Yeah, I think I'll do that, about different kinds of writing styles and what I do where and how and what the differences are. That could be fun. I'll do that. So if you're a subscriber to the Substack, thank you so much. You'll see if you visit the original written post, there are, and I will link this post to the one where it was written, if you'd rather just read it for yourself. There are several photos that I took on the day of Dawlish seaside town. I might do a little edit as well, because it occurred to me that I keep saying we, and I didn't mention that was Mrs. C and I. Um, yeah, I don't know why, that was just sort of accidental, but it occurred to me straight away as I was reading it. But yeah, it was a nice day. It was a nice sunny day, and it was good fun. It was great fun going. But it's funny, sort of. I like to people watch and sort of observe the idiosyncrasies of us English people in the public setting. It's really quite entertaining. Okay, so thanks very much. If you're a paying subscriber, thank you so much for your support. It all helps to keep the lights on, and pay for my time in putting content together. It's all got to add up somehow. The sums have got to add up at the end of the day to put food on the table and so on. So every penny is appreciated. Thank you so much. It means a great deal, and it's also just very encouraging on a sort of personal and a very sort of on a personal level. It makes a difference. Somebody is kind of backing me in a way and thinking, okay, we like what you're doing. Maybe you like my books. I don't know, but I hope you're getting some enjoyment out of the newsletter and the books and so on. Okay. Thanks very much. Talk again soon. Bye.